Melissa Johnson here for episode 77 of Melissa Loves to Talk. Today is May 1st, 2026. Thank you for joining me. I feel like it's been a while. I was not on Monday, and so it's been since Sunday. So it's been all week. A lot of crazy stuff happened all week. A lot of really good stuff for us. So I have a lot of things to talk about through the weekend. So today I'm just gonna be how many of you are sick of hearing that the Republicans are a threat to democracy? Okay. We hear this over and over and over. We're a threat to democracy. Well, we are a threat to democracy because we don't live in a democracy. We have a democratic way of voting. Okay. Majority rules. That's, our democratic way of voting. But our actual law is not a democracy. It's actually a constitutional republic. So the law of our land is our Constitution. And see, they want to get rid of the Constitution because they don't want us to have rights. So that's why they keep pushing, we need to save the democracy. Republicans are a threat to democracy. And these are all true facts because we don't live in a democracy and we don't want a democracy. We want a constitutional republic, which is what we have. So I am going to share what each of them are. And then I actually Googled it and it shows the difference. So I'm going to share that with you just in case you're someone watching this that you actually thought we lived in a democracy because you hear it so much from the crazy lefty Lulus that we live in a democracy. Our government is not a democracy. So hopefully you knew this already, but if not, that's great. You're going to learn something new. And that's great because we all should learn something new every day. And so we're going to talk about that just because I think people really believe that we do live in a democracy and they believe that Republicans are a threat to democracy. So we're going to go through it and you can make your decision on number one, what would you rather live in and what our government really is. So here we go. Okay, so here's what it says a democracy is. A system of government by the whole population or all the eligible members of a state, typically through elected representatives. So that is correct. We definitely vote to get our people in, right? So I'll give you the Wikipedia definition. Okay, so it's a form of government in which political power is vested in the people or the population of a state. Under a minimalized definition of democracy, rulers are elected through competitive elections, while more expansive or maximalist definitions link democracy to guarantees of civil liberties and human rights in addition to competitive elections. Again, this sounds great. And this is why they push it, because this part is true. This is how we vote. In a direct democracy, the people have the direct authority to deliberate and decide legislation. In a representative democracy, the people choose governing officials through elections to do so. The definition of the people and the ways authority is shared among them or delegated by them have changed over time and at varying rates in different countries. Features of democracy often include freedom of assembly, association, personal property, freedom of religion, speech, citizenship. So all this, again, is how we vote. Okay? The notion of democracy has evolved considerably over time throughout history. One can find evidence of direct democracy in which communities make decisions through popular assembly, Today, the dominant form of democracy is representative democracy, where citizens elect government officials to govern over their behalf, such as a parliamentary or presidential democracy. In the common variant of a liberal democracy, the powers of the majority are exercised within the framework of a representative democracy, but a constitution or Supreme Court limit the majority and protect the minority, usually through securing the enjoyment by all the certain individual rights, such as freedom of speech or freedom of association, which again, Wikipedia is not the greatest. I'm just using Wikipedia because it came up. And again, this is saying people elect government to rule over them. Okay. That's the difference right there. Okay. So I'm going to show you let me actually click out of this. Okay. And then a constitutional republic. A constitutional republic is a form of government where elected representatives govern according to a constitution that limits their powers and protects citizens' rights. So this is the Constitution, which it did say the Constitution, but this is actually more elaborate. So a constitutional republic is a system of government in which the supreme power rests with the people, but governance is carried out by elected officials who are bound by a constitution. The Constitution established the rules, limits governmental authority, and protects fundamental rights, assuring that no official can act arbitrarily or violate citizens' liberties unless unlike a pure democracy, where majority rule can dominate. A constitutional republic safeguards minority rights and prevents the concentration of power. See, there's the difference. It says the people have the power. The government is just to be here to make sure that people's rights are not being violated, and that the Constitution is actually being used properly and to help. Okay, so here's the structure, which of course the democracy did not show that, which it's going to show at the bottom the difference. Okay, so in a constitutional republic, government power is typically divided among three branches, which is what we have. Legislation makes laws and represents the electorate. Executive enforces laws and manages administration. Judicial interprets laws and ensures they comply with the Constitution, which is what our judicial system fails to do over and over. And when they actually follow the Constitution, they get called all kinds of names by the left because they're actually following the Constitution, which is what happened with the redistricting. This separation of powers and system of checks and balances prevent any single branch from getting excessive authority and maintains accountability. Citizens elect representatives such as presidents, legislators, and governors who make policy decisions on their behalf, often with indirect mechanisms like the Electoral College in the U.S. Okay, so the Electoral College, which again, the Democrats hate, is because that keeps it from, that helps for like, here, let me put it on my face. So a lot of people don't understand the Electoral College. So the Electoral College helps for like states that have smaller population, states that have, I'll say like a lot of red states have a smaller population than blue states. So the Electoral College evens it out so that the blue states or the bigger states aren't constantly controlling the election. So that's what the Electoral College is for. So yes, majority rules, but it's more the Electoral College, because if you did majority rules like California, Texas, and New York, Florida, it would be those four states would always predict or make or break which Generally, it does anyway because of the electoral votes, but this helps the states that have a smaller population to make it even so that it's not always the bigger populated states that are controlling the election. It makes it even. So how many electoral college votes is how many seats you have in the House. So however many seats you have in the House, that's how many electoral votes you have, which still hurts some states that, like Georgia's a big state, but it has a low population, so it doesn't have as many seats as it should because it has a lower population. But however many seats it has, that's how many electoral votes it has. So it's trying to make it so that it's fair all the time, where a democracy would not be like that. That would just be majority rules, so the big populated states would always rule. So the Electoral College evens it out so that it makes it so that it's not always majority is going to constantly rule. Because again, the big populated states would always win. So that's a little history about Electoral College. Okay, so a constitutional republic is a form of representative democracy. So again, this is why they say that all the time, because it is a form, again, because we use democracy for voting. So meaning that while citizens participate in elections, they do not directly make laws. Instead, elected officials govern with constitutional limits. This framework allows for popular sovereignty while ensuring that laws and policies adhere to established legal principles, protecting against the potential tyranny of the majority. So that the majority would not take over the minority all the time, which would happen in a democracy. If we had a representative democracy, the majority would always be in power. It wouldn't ever shift because that's the way it is. The majority rules. The United States is a prime example of a constitutional republic. Its constitution defines the powers of government, establishes federalism, and protects individual liberties through the Bill of Rights. Elected officials from the president to members of Congress operate under these constitutional constraints. Other nations have adopted similar models, adapting constitutional provisions to local traditions and governance needs. Okay, so a lot of other countries have something like a constitutional republic. They may have something like a democratic republic, stuff like that, but none of them have exactly what we have. If you don't, you'll be shocked to hear that China at once did have a constitutional republic, but I think around the 1960s is when it was overtaken by communism. So this is what they're trying to do here because they know it worked in China, so they think it can happen here. But I'm not sure like what their constitution exactly was. I don't know if it was, freedom to bear arms. Like, I don't know if they had, a Second Amendment like we do, which keeps them from overtaking us. So that's the goal, is please never give up your guns, because that is how they overtake us. Okay. Citizens hold ultimate sovereignty, but govern through elected representatives. So we, the people, that's the difference between a constitutional republic. And that's why the Democrats hate it. And they will always say it's a democracy. It's not a democracy. We, the people, control the country. They have way too much power. They think they are our bosses. We're their bosses. We elect them to govern, to make sure rules get passed, laws get passed, and make sure the Constitution is upheld. They are not to rule over us. Which again, in a democracy, it said they govern over us. Okay? They govern through the Constitution, not over us. Okay. Separation of powers and checks and balances prevent abuse of authority. Constitutional republics balance majority rule with minority protections, combining democratic participation with legal safeguards. This system ensures that governance is law-based rather than rule-based by individuals, promoting stability, accountability, and protection of civil liberties. So there's the difference. I could read all that, but I already told you the difference. So if you want to go back and read it yourself, you're more than welcome. My voice is really cracky and I don't want to read all that. So, but yes, the left does everything they can to make us think that this is a democracy, and this is not. It's a constitutional republic. We, the people, elect them to enforce laws, to make laws, stuff like that, not to rule over us. We are the boss. We elect them. Our tax dollars pay them. They think they're high and mighty and they're above us, and that's not how the Constitution words it whatsoever. Just like there's 3 different branches of government, for the reason is no one's above anyone. The Supreme Court is the highest. They say what goes with the Constitution. That is really their job. They say, yes, this is constitutional. No, this is not constitutional. They are the high authority of the rule of law. So because the Democrats didn't like that their thing that they had going were redistricting by color, which is racists can get out. Like, why would you want to think that? It sounds racist. So because they changed that and said, no, that we're not going to do that anymore because that's racist, to say we're going to district according to color. It should be district according to population, according to how people vote. See, they had it where they say, well, all the blue areas, all the black people live in these areas, so it's automatically a Democrat area. Sounds racist to me. You're assuming that they all vote one way. All white people vote one way. If you watch certain videos, what do you see? You see a lot of white crazy people that are definitely not voting for Trump. So you're not drawing the lines correct to think this whole area of black people only vote for Democrats. So redistricting goes by how people vote. The census is way different. That is something different. I think people are very confused. The census goes by overall population. Redistricting goes by how people vote. So in 2024, Trump won 90 counties in the country. 90 counties. 90%. Sorry, not 90 counties. 90% of counties in the country. So that's how it should be district. By how many people voted for him. 10 counties were blue. So realistically, if it was fair, the way it should be, is only 10 counties would be blue in the whole country. 10%, sorry. I keep saying 10. It's 10%. Sorry, not 10, 10%. 10% of counties would be blue. 90% counties would be red. And if they wanted to do it in another 4 years after the presidential election, they could do that again. They could redistrict it. Okay, maybe that time it's more blue, so we can switch it up again. But they're mad because for years they had no red seats. We have no right now. Right now, as of May 1st, 2026, we have no Republican seats in all of New England. That's Maine, Massachusetts, Connecticut, those states. And overall, I think we have 7 states that have no Republican seats. But that's okay. That was fair. They think it's fair. So those Republicans had no representation, which I said the other day. Is you're paying taxes for representation. You're not getting any if you have no Republican seats. So right now, the Constitution says that the redistricting that we were doing for all these years, not we, because it wasn't us, it was Congress or the governors or whoever, because this was 1965. So this is when they decided to do the lines the way they did them. Which again was racist. If you're going to say, well, all the black people live here, they're going to automatically vote blue. All the white people are going to vote red. That sounds racist. That's very segregated. So if you do it the correct way, the way it's supposed to be done, is how people vote. So because a lot of people are running, number one, a lot of people are moving out of blue states and moving to red states. So they're moving to a red state. They're giving people, number one, this is what happened in Texas, and this is why they were mad about Texas. Texas had an overflow of people that came into their state that won't have representation because they don't have enough seats. So that's why they gave them 5 more seats by the population. Their population grew from 2021 to 2026 because of all the crazy laws that the left wants to push. California, they want to do a wealth tax. They added on, all kinds of crazy tax. They raised property tax. They tax. Their gas is $7 a gallon all the time. So people moved out. Washington State just added state income tax. They didn't have state income tax. So now businesses moved out of there, moved to Texas, moved to Florida, moved to Tennessee. They moved to red areas. I mean, there's a common denominator if people would understand and stop listening to the news. Actually do research. It doesn't take you hard. You're on TikTok, you're on, Instagram, you're on Snapchat, you're on all these things. If you literally just say, can you tell me how redistricting works? What's constitutional about redistricting? What's not? I mean, it's very easy. Nowadays, we can just talk on our phones, right? We don't even have to type. You don't even have to work real hard to figure out stuff. It's not like it's back in the day when you had to go to the library, look up slides, or go to the, Dewey Decimal System, find a book. We don't have to do, nowadays you just literally speak into your phone. It'll tell you what you want it to tell you. And people don't want to do that. They just want to believe what the mainstream media tells them. You want to listen to the crazy lefty Lulus that are screaming and hollering and acting like psychos. Again, they're not our bosses. We are their bosses. We pay their bills. Well, we pay their paycheck because it's our tax money. Is how they get paid. Unless they're doing inside trading, and that's a whole different ballgame. But their $175,000 a year that they make, 174, whatever it is tax dollars. So we're their boss. They're supposed to do what we want them to do, which is why it's frustrating right now, is because we want them to pass the Save America Act. We want them to, do all these things when it's 80% of the population. It's not rocket science to figure out what you're supposed to do when you're in there. You're supposed to do what the constituents want. So please, if you're governor, if you're mayor, if you're senator, if you're House of Representative member, if they are not doing what you voted for them to do, primary them. That's what the primaries are for. Get them out. Get somebody in that's actually conservative, sharing your conservative values. People that are going to actually do what you vote them to do. Voted them in to do. A third of the senators are up for re-election, and every House member is up for election. So you have perfect advantage to get rid of these people and get in people that are going to actually do what we want them to do. I just realized I never brought my water in here. Okay. It's okay. I'll just get another cough drop. So when people learn that we, the people, control this stuff and stop letting them control us, that's the problem. We don't like what they're doing. We can call them. We can email them. We can write them a letter. We can go visit their office and be like, hey, you want to keep your job, you better get it in gear. It's just like your boss at your job. If you're never doing what he asked you to do, you're going to get fired. But these congressmen and women and senators and mayors and governors, they think they're untouchable. Like nothing can stop them. They're in control. No, they're not in control. We are in control. We the people. That's the Constitution. That's why they want to keep saying we're in a democracy. That's why they push that so much. Like every Democrat, when they get up at that pulpit, oh, we're a threat to democracy, right? That's what they love to say. No, they're a threat to this country. They're the biggest threat to this country. They are the biggest threat to this country. Forget China, forget Russia, forget Iran. The Democrats are the biggest threat to this country. No, I'm not saying we want bad things to happen to them. No, I'm not saying do all these bad things. I said vote. Vote them out. Go to your GOP meetings. Find out who the real person is. Believe me, the leaders in your GOP party in your county or wherever, they know who to vote for. They'll tell you, hey, that person's a rhino. Hey, that person's going to do what we ask them to do. Hey, that person is okay. If we have to, we will vote for them. They know. At least where I go, they always know. I ask them all the time. Like, I'm not real sure about this person. Unless I go meet them, which I do. I meet a lot of the candidates. I ask them questions. Like, if I'm voting for you, I need to know what you're going to do. I've met one of the people that's running for governor, one of the people that's running for Secretary of State, and one of the people that are running for lieutenant governor. And I've asked them all the same questions. What are you doing about Islam? What are we doing about the illegals? They are my two biggest concerns right now. Because they're actually a threat to our constitutional republic. When you're illegally here and when you're trying to push Sharia law. That has nothing to do with our Constitution, as the opposite of our Constitution. That gives us no freedom, especially women. Women have no freedom in Sharia law. That is not what the Constitution says. All men are created equal, which is men and women, not just men. So you have the power to control what happens in the election, but you have to, number one, do your research. Number two, you got to vote. Get out and vote. The primaries are very, very important. To me, they're more important than the general because This is where we vote out the rhinos. Again, sometimes we can't. We cannot get them out sometimes because they always outspend the nice conservative person that we know is going to do a good job. They will outspend them. They get, the rhinos stick together. So they'll have rhinos that give them some money. The establishment, right? That's what we call them. So they'll get establishment money. So then they'll still win, but do your best to get them out. That's the point. If you stay home, you're guaranteed either a rhino's going to win or a Democrat's going to win. So get out, vote. Right now, the primaries in Georgia, early voting, election day is May 19th. County in Tennessee is the early voting was ended yesterday. Election day is Tuesday, May 4th. Sorry, it's May 4th. Get out. Vote. The county elections is like, it's going to like Board of Education, sheriffs, stuff like that, which is very, very important. Number one, you want sheriffs that are going to share your values because then they're going to protect your values. They're going to protect people. The woke sheriffs, we don't want them. They're not going to care about people rioting and breaking into people's houses. They're not going to care about that stuff. Look at Minnesota. Look at LA. Look at all these, Portland. Because we got the woke people that don't want to do anything. So we want sheriffs. We want school board members. We want people that are going to share our values running these things. Especially school. We really need to get all the woke people out of the school. You start with the school board. So this is what we need to be doing is get out and vote your primaries, do your research, find out who the rhinos are, get them out. The primaries, perfect to get them out. There's usually 4 or 5 candidates. You have the two that are usually, one's the conservative, one's the rhino. They're usually like the top two. You just got to try to figure out who the one that's really conservative. Talk to your friends, talk to your family, make some videos, do what I'm doing. Not necessarily a podcast, but do a video. Get out what you know about the person. Like, you don't want to really talk nasty about somebody, but you want to say, hey, I know so-and-so. He's going to do this. She's going to do this. Again, it's hard to get a real conservative person because of the establishment. They will always kick money and throw money at people. But if you show up to vote, right? Too big to rig, right? We learned that in 2024. That needs to be our motto all the time. Get out, vote, get out, vote, get out, vote. We can't let the Democrats in. They've already told us what they're going to do. Hakeem Jeffries told us what he's going to do. He's going to put everyone through the ringer for the next 2 years after the election. They're going to impeach everybody. They're going to bring charges against everyone. That's me included, because they'll find me. I'm a nobody, but I have a channel, so they'll come after me. Anybody speaking truth. They've already said what they're going to do. They're not hiding it. They're telling you. So they can't win. Not even the establishment. We need to really do our best to get rid of the establishment, the rhinos. That's why I said, figure out which one's the rhino. Figure out which one's the conservative. Again, if you have money, donate to their campaigns. The campaigns, yes, it's sometimes they pay the door knockers. Sometimes they pay the people that put the signs out. They have to have advertisements. I've door knocked and put out signs for free. I've never been paid for it. We have mostly volunteers where I live. But they do pay certain people because they may have a person that's the coordinator. That person probably gets paid. Okay. I don't know. I've never been paid. I've never asked how it works. I just show up for the person that I really want to win because I know how they're going to vote. I'm going to get out and put signs out for them and door knock for them. Maybe make some postcards. I've done that a couple times. Maybe phone calls, text, whatever. This is the fight of our lives. This is even bigger than when we were trying to get President Trump elected. This is even bigger than this. Because again, they think they have the power, right? So they will do whatever they can to get more power. That's how it works. If they can overtake us by making laws that we are supposed to follow or whatever, they will do it any way, any means possible that they can get it done. They will do it. We are protected by the Constitution. And they want to get rid of the Constitution. They want this to be a democracy. Really, they want to be, I guess a democracy. They don't want to have, a king, because they don't, because they want all of them to be in power, not just one person. So that's why they want a democracy. We're a constitutional republic. We're in charge. So that's why they fight that so much. I mean, just listen to them when they talk. All of them. They'll get up there and they'll say, we're a threat to democracy. These people are a threat to democracy. Now it's the Supreme Court's a threat to democracy because they redrew the district or said it was unconstitutional or whatever wording they used. We really cannot let them win, ever. Like, we have got to do our best to never let them win again. Because we thought 21 to 25 was bad. It'll be 20 times worse than that because they've been, for a year and a half, been kept in a bubble and they hate it. They haven't been able to do all the stuff they want to do. So they're just going to unleash hell on earth if they get back in there. So we have got to do our best. Get out. Like I said, do your research, go to your GOP meetings, whatever you have to do. I try to go, ours is the first Monday of the month. And I go. And I'm going to go Monday and meet some of the people that are running. Like I said, I've met a couple of them already. So we have a lot of seats up. So I got to do some research before the 19th, before I vote. Because I don't want to get some more establishment in there. Especially the Senate. Well, the Senate, we definitely need to get that seat back. So we need that seat, and we need to make sure we keep the governor's seat and all the Congress seats. I said senator, all the House seats. So I am actually going to get off here. I know it's very quick today. I am actually making some food for a couple. They had a baby last week, and so I am taking them some dinner. So I have to cook for them, so I'm not getting them dinner too late. She said after 6, so that'll give me time to cook it and then take it to her. And so that's what I'm about to do. So I'm going to cut it kind of short. I'm going to probably talk about some of the other things that's happened this week tomorrow. I don't know how much I listen to news all day. And so it's hard to know what to actually talk about because it's so much stuff going in my brain. But just today, I just kept hearing, everyone's a threat to democracy. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do a podcast episode on the difference. And hopefully, if you thought we had a democracy, you learned we do not have a democracy. And we live in a constitutional republic. We, the people, control the government. And we need to be controlling the government. That's our job. So, thank you so much for watching. Please like and share. Comment if you have any comments, questions, concerns. I will do my best to give you any help in any way that you need. If you're looking to figure out how to get in touch with the GOP, how to get in touch with anything that has to do with any of that, I usually can kind of direct someone at least to what to do. So thank you so much. Hope you have a blessed and safe evening, and hope to see you tomorrow.